Hello everyone and welcome to another sword cleaning video. Today we take a look at this. This is a Sudanese Kaskara, and while we're going to explore this style of sword and then this specific sword in a future video in all of its historical context and details. Sorry, there's a lot of dust coming out of the hilt. I just want to show you why today we're going to focus on cleaning it, and it's because it's fairly rusty. The good thing we'll see in a second is it doesn't seem to be like deep-seated rust or anything. It's very dusty, and so it should hopefully be a fairly quick clean. But what's interesting about it is you'll probably see it has some beautiful engravings or etchings, I suppose. And I hope they're going to emerge in all of their beauty after we apply a little bit of oil and some delicate cleaning. So if you're as curious as I am, let's dive right in. Okay, so we'll start off by taking a look at the blade close up, so we see what the situation is before the cleaning, and then we'll hopefully see some nice improvements in the after phase. But as you can see, under this superficial layer of rust is some beautiful decoration on both sides of the blade. And these run all the way up the blade, literally all the way up the blade, because if we go right up to the tip, we can see them there. And you can even see that under the dull rust layer, they're actually quite shiny and beautiful. So I think this is going to be very nice. I think it's going to turn out some really nice result. So the reason, what I'm going to do here is apply some ballistol. Sorry for that. So the usual ballistol. I don't think I'm going to use autosol in this case because I first want to see what happens without using anything which is abrasive, even mildly. And I'm going to use this sponge on the yellow side, so not the side which is the most abrasive, although I might actually start with a microfiber cloth. That's probably going to be what I'm going to start with. So, well, we'll get started, apply a bit of oil, start rubbing delicately and see what comes off. The reason why I'm doing this and not, as I initially thought, I would maybe attempt the chelation approach, the one I Post Swords uses on some of his swords with similar kind of decorations successfully. But it's a little more complex and takes more time. And honestly, what I initially thought was a lot of deep-seated rust feels more like dust. You can see it's a very light layer of active rust dust. So I don't think it's going to require a lot of effort to remove. So I'll first try with ballistol, and if things work, all the better. We have our new cloth. It's nice and soft. Bunch of oil that can be liberally applied. Okay, this will do the trick, at least to begin with. Let's close it. Avoid happy little accidents, which may not be too happy and we'll get to working on the blade. So just get some oil on there. This may take a little longer. It's okay, you can already see it starting to act, let's say. The cloth here is moving very smoothly, especially towards the top of the blade, which makes me very optimistic that it's going to be hopefully a rather quick process of cleaning. I can feel more friction here. You can actually see it too. You can probably see that here it turns out really immediately, it's nice and shiny. And here you see these kind of matte areas. This is where the rust is. So this is where we'll probably need a little bit more care. But first, let's get the whole blade nice and oiled. You can see dirt is coming off for sure. Less than I would have imagined, to be honest, but still quite a bit. This, I think, is the better side of the blade, so it has less of this rust. So, but we'll see. So we start oiling it, and let's see what we get. Try getting under here too. There's definitely some rust, but it doesn't look like it's damaged things. Like, I can still see the script here very well. So I just think it will require some patience and some work. We see on the other side as well here, this matte area. But yeah, you can already see some quite interesting results, I think. So I'll continue a little bit off camera and come back at the next step of the cleaning process. Okay, so as it turns out, the rust is actually a little deeper than I initially thought. It's still not bad. You can see, of course, it hasn't damaged, but this area here is definitely a bit more corroded than initially I might have thought. Here we have the other side. So the blade is all fully oiled now. I'm going to keep working, but I might test a few. I don't know if I'll test with some autosol here or something, and then I'll report back to you right away. I tried a little bit of autosol here, but not with the green side of the sponge, so just with this side, and it seems to be doing some. It seems to definitely be. Let me show you close up. Let's see if I can focus, but I don't see any. Here's where I tried. So I don't see any negative impact. Like, I don't see any like marks or scour marks or anything. So I think I'm going to try and run just a little bit of autosol with the delicate side of the sponge. So definitely getting there with the autosol. However, I did a little test with the green side of the sponge as well. I was a bit in doubt on whether I should try or not, because I didn't want to, like, this is very nice decoration, so I don't want to risk damaging it. So I spot checked it in a couple of places, and I don't see any, like, I literally don't see any scour marks or anything, but it does actually brighten it up quite a bit. So I think I'm going to try a light pass with the green pad. I'm fairly confident it's not too risky. I won't be like pressing in too much or digging in too much. So it'll be just a way to, I think, remove a little bit of the oxidization. But we'll see. I'll try it on again. I'll go in increment. So first from a small spot and see what happens as I move up the blade. Okay, I've been working delicately and steadily on this side of the blade. I spot checked a few times again in a few points, and I still didn't see any damage or any scouring or anything. So I'm fairly confident now that there shouldn't be any issue. So I worked on it for a while. You can see the blade is still covered in autosol. We'll now wipe it off and then compare it to the other side of the blade, just to get an idea of what, if any, advantages or what results autosol brought compared to, sorry, I was out of frame. So if we do see some results, good, and if we don't, well. So here's the blade now after a bit of cleaning with oil and a very, very light pass with autosol. So you'll see that most of the rust layer has gone. The script is visible almost everywhere. It's still a little bit dirty and opaque, of course. I should pass some oil on it. It's definitely looking way better than at the start, I would say. And compared to the other side, well, I'm not really sure there's that huge of a difference. Keep in mind that this was the bad side of the blade that we were looking at earlier, so the fact that it looks like the good side of the blade is probably already an improvement. However, yeah, not huge changes, but that is actually what you would want. You don't want to rub it with autosol and then suddenly it's a completely different blade. I figured you might just want to have a quick look at what I'm doing. So I'm keeping the sword actually, maybe you can see here, this helps. So I'm keeping it locked on the side of the table. This is very useful, but it's very useful to keep it still. So whenever I have a sword that does enable this, I try to lock it there on the side, and then it enables you to kind of focus on the blade and like, yeah, focus on how much pressure you want to put on the blade, on everything. Also, you'll see there's a lot of autosol and residue even on the table. I usually put way more than I need. I kind of find that to be, it reduces friction, but I feel that by having more material, the sponge or any abrasive side of the sponge slides more easily. So yeah, potentially reducing damage. So let me know if you think that's stupid, which it possibly is. Now we'll wipe off the autosol off the blade and we'll take a look and see what's up. It's hard to get in under the langets here, but I guess I can do that later. So now we'll just focus on the blade for a moment. And, well, after wiping it down and after a little bit of delicate work, so it took longer than I expected. Here is what we have. So I think it's looking quite nice, honestly. And we'll oil it up now. One thing they don't tell you about sword collecting is that together with the expenses on swords, on display cabinets, if that's something you're into, and all these kinds of things, there's also a huge expenditure in oil, at least for me oil, but in microfiber cloths and sponges. That's just, there seem to never be enough. So, okay, we'll oil it up quickly and see what we have at the end of this process. So I'm actually overall fairly satisfied. For anyone of you watching my videos already, you probably know that I don't have expectations of my blades being perfect or looking beautifully new and polished. So as long as there's no active rust, I'm usually happy, and I think we've achieved that here. I'm definitely curious though about what any of you who have maybe some experience with this kind of sword, richly decorated blades, what you would do if you would continue maybe going through with some chelation just to remove even more of the concretions or stuff, or if you feel like I do at the moment at least, that this is possibly where it's at for this blade. So thank you for watching, and see you soon in another video. Bye.